I don't claim to have empirical data when I say things like this. I didn't take a survey or anything, but in my experience, the most common complaint about this arc of Dragon Ball is that it's solely the Son Goku show. It's all about him, and he's the only one who does anything, while later arcs work in a more ensemble fashion. Well, I'd say that's debatable, especially the latter part of that statement, but even Japanese fans of the time were complaining. From Toriyama's Ask Me Anything corner in Volume 10 of the Dragon Ball Tankobon releases, a fan writes in saying, "Recently the story has just been about Goku, and I feel that you aren't making the most of the personality-rich supporting characters." Toriyama, however, does not address this portion of his comment. People who do say that have a point, especially in the Muscle Tower section, but Dragon Ball, in almost all instances, is focused entirely on Goku, whether he's physically present or not. I do feel that the fans have the right idea, but are actually misinterpreting their own feelings. The Red Ribbon Army arc starts with Goku leaving his friends and going out on his own, to be sure. But so did the last arc. The main cast went away, a minor cast member was given a more prominent role, and the rest of the spots were filled in by new people. And again, this is almost exactly what happens in the Muscle Tower section, and yet I have never heard those same complaints about the last arc. I'd say there are two main differences. One is that the characters introduced at this point in the story disappear, while characters like Kuririn become mainstays of the cast. The second reason, and this might explain the first reason, is that the characters introduced at this point just aren't very interesting. Hachan's pretty fun, as I said before, but he's still not nearly as interesting as any of the main characters introduced up to this point. The girl and her family, well, they exist. Toriyama didn't even see fit at the time to give her a name. I have no idea if Toriyama intended these people to be regulars and just realized they were boring and that he needed to hurry up and bring his regular cast back, or if they were always intended to be just pit stop characters, but it is telling that the one chapter we spend with Blooma and her parents are more interesting and well-defined than anything we saw with the girl and her parents. So, I think when people complain about Goku dominating this part of the story, it's really just because the people he's surrounding himself with can't carry the story. I'd like to think Toriyama realized this, and this is why we get some of the established cast back, and the characters from here on out become much more memorable. And I find General Blue to be very memorable. To continue with the escalation of the Red Ribbon baddies, General Blue looks quite a bit more professional than his predecessors, especially with his Nazi-inspired uniform. And in a wonderful 1-2 punch of characterization, in his first full page, we see Blue executing an officer under his command for picking his nose. In one swift action, you know this guy. He is ruthless, he is sadistic, he runs a very tight ship, and yet he is very fussy. He has more character in this one moment than Silver or White had in their entire appearances. And now that you know he's on Goku's trail, you know that Goku had better watch out. Meanwhile, Blooma apparently dropped her vest down Goku's gi because we never see it again. They discover the ball is underwater, which is a problem, as Goku can't just Kintone his way to the Dragon Ball. He can't even swim that far down. So again, Toriyama's presenting believable obstacles that keep the adventure going, and since Blooma's father's capsule case only has porn, they're in trouble. While Goku is attempting to dive for the ball, Blooma wanders off to see if she can buy capsules only to be shot at by what she doesn't know are Red Ribbon soldiers. When they realize she's a pretty girl and start coming on to her, she's actually quite a bit more standoffish than we've traditionally seen her, but I guess that's just because they're not offering her anything in return. When she refuses and they start shooting again, Goku arrives just in time to dispose of them. He then suggests they visit Kame House to see if the turtle Sennin can help them out. Umigame, the sea turtle, makes his first appearance since the first arc, although Goku has forgotten his name and calls him Urigome, or Blockhead. The old man agrees to lend Goku and Blooma a submersible craft once Kuririn and Lunch return with it, but for a price. While Blooma girds herself to show off her panties or fulfill some other obscene request, the turtle Sennin asks only for the microband, and a relieved Blooma happily gives it to him. Then Blooma asks to go to the bathroom, and the old man quickly runs inside to shrink himself down and spy on her while she does. While he does get a peek at her panties, the old man misses whatever he wanted to see, in the time it takes him to climb on the toilet tank. And then he gets his just rewards by slipping into the bowl right before Blooma flushes. Red and Black are confused as to why the kid has stopped at this island, and Black postulates that it makes more sense he has accomplices, and specifically a brilliant scientist who created his radar, and that this island must be their base of operations. Red commands Blue to reconnoiter, and we see that Blue has to talk on the phone with both pinkies extended. Around the time Muten Roshi has made his way out of the plumbing, Kuririn and Lunch return. Some more name jokes occur when Kuririn misremembers Blooma's name as Pants. Upon being apprised of the situation, Kuririn muses over the legend of pirate treasure in the waters near the Dragon Ball's location and asks to come along. The flying vehicle transforms into a submarine and the trio begins their quest. Meanwhile, a scout plane has found Kame House, and Blue assumes the old man asking the young lady when she's going to use the bathroom must be the brilliant scientist Black had mentioned. He splits his forces into 2 squads, with him personally assuming command of Squad A to follow Goku and the others underwater. The kids find that the Dragon Ball sank into a nearby fissure that they can't fit into, but it does connect to a larger cave opening much farther away. And it is really cool getting to see the Dragon Radar used in such a way. Squad A keeps their distance until Goku and the others reach the mouth of the cave, and then they open fire. It's at this point that Goku thinks to tell his friends about that little red ribbon problem, and the other 2 are furious that Goku brought them into this while neglecting to mention that he's being personally targeted by the world's most powerful criminal organization. Kuririn manages to get them into the cave before they're destroyed, and Blue has to deploy miniature subs when his own ship is too large to continue on. And here I have to point out that this is where you can tell the use of characters is back on track. The chemistry between Goku and the others is effortless. Goku engages in silly antics, Kuririn's pomposity gets him into trouble with the pirate traps, and Blooma manages just the right balance of helpful and annoying and being way out of her league. And now that Squad B has landed on Kame House, even the other characters get a chance to shine. Muten Roshi unsurprisingly manages to look cool, effortlessly besting the soldiers, but even Lunch and the Sea Turtle manage to contribute. Even Lunch manages to contribute! Enjoy that moment while it lasts! But at the same time Blue's about to rush the kids, he gets word that Squad B was decimated and decides it's better to use caution. Blooma and Kuririn interpret the lack of pursuit as some kind of trap and convince Goku to move forward. Again, it's just a brilliant way to keep all the players in the dark and delay a straight-on confrontation. It's something Toriyama would use later on in the Frieza arc to great effect. After finding a light switch in a dead body, Kuririn deduces that this is the pirate cave, and almost being killed by that aforementioned trap confirms it. Before they reach the trap, however, a soldier was spying on them and tells Blue that they don't appear to have any weapons. Blue assumes that they left their super-duper weapons behind in their sub, and that without them, they're just ordinary kids. With a fabulously flamboyant laugh, he throws caution to the winds and sends his troops around the corner, only to find them all killed by the trap Goku had used his Noibo to avoid. I especially like how one of his spear-stabbed men informs him that there are no survivors. But while Blue may have made a rash decision, he's no fool, and realizes the pirates must have had a way around the trap, and he finds a hidden passage. The kids find themselves in a very modern-looking dock and attacked by a modern-looking pirate robot. It's at this point that Blue realizes that Goku and the others have been able to best them because they're martial artists. I wish people discussing later parts of the series would consider this scene before they try to compare humans or Earthlings or whatever you want to call them to real-world humans, and specifically give them the same capabilities and limitations. Here you have a reasonably intelligent man seeing kids performing superhuman feats and besting soldiers with firearms and going, "Oh, okay, that makes sense." Goku tells Kuririn and Blooma to go on ahead and find the Dragon Ball, and Blue follows after them. After an intense fight, Goku ultimately manages to destroy the robot with a Jonkan from above, but its destruction apparently manages to damage the structural integrity of the entire cave, which means everyone has to hurry. When Kuririn and Blooma reach a fork in the path, Kuririn draws an arrow for Goku to follow, but Blue wipes it out and makes his own arrow in the opposite direction, leading Goku to fall into a trapdoor and have to battle it out with a cantankerous talking octopus, and then eats that octopus because he's Goku. The others reach a pool that requires him to strip down and continue on in their undies. And I don't know if Blooma changed at some point for some reason, but her panties don't at all match what we saw just a little while ago on the toilet. You know, I should just shut up about this. But Blue in particular doesn't like having to get wet. Upon surfacing, Kuririn and Blooma open a chest filled with pirate treasure, only to immediately encounter Blue, who demands they relinquish it to him. And here's where we get to the, Blooma, proving that she is much more morally superior than the boyfriend who is the recipient of female attention, immediately starts pawing at and drooling on the hunky bad guy. Twice! Although in her defense, the second time was to attempt to save her own life. Only to find out that he's really not into women. Okay, so this is 1986, and opinions about homosexuality and homosexuality as a device in fiction were quite a bit different than they are now, and handled with quite a bit less sensitivity. But all that said, I really don't think there's anything offensive even now about the way Blue was handled. I mean, yeah, he's a bit stereotypical, and Kuririn and Blooma don't exactly seem to respect him for that, but at the same time he's neither punished for being gay, or said to be evil because he's gay. In fact, Kuririn seems quite surprised that a gay man would be the bad guy. Make of that what you will, but it seems Blue's implied orientation is just something that fleshes out his character a bit rather than being overtly spiteful. Of course, this is in the manga. The TV series is another story entirely, and it strongly implies that Blue is into children, but that's a discussion for another day. Kuririn is confident he can defeat Blue, but he's so out of his league that it's more important for us to see Goku eating octopus than it is for us to see the initial beatdown. Kuririn does manage to score an impressive hit by using the Zanzo-Ken, which shows he's been training a little bit since the tournament, but that just makes Blue mad that someone has dared to shed his blood. Keep in mind that Vegeta will later do the exact same thing. Blue breaks out his trump card, a form of paralytic telekinesis initiated through his eyes. With Kuririn incapacitated, Blue's about to deliver the death blow when, just in the nick of time, as he will continue to do at many points in the future, Goku blasts onto the scene. Goku is much more capable of taking Blue on, but he's not prepared for the paralysis. Threatening Goku at gunpoint, he forces Blooma to reveal the direction of the Dragon Ball, and then proceeds to ready the death blow anyway. But in another last-second save, a passing mouse freaks Blue out and breaks the connection, allowing Goku to unleash the Jonken to scissor out his eyes and rock him like a hurricane. The cave is in imminent danger of collapse, so Goku volunteers to go after the Dragon Ball while the other two leave. He finds it underwater and then returns to save the mouse that saved him by stuffing it into his mouth. I love Goku. Kuririn and Blooma's way is blocked at the dock, so they hop into a pirate sub. Blue awakens and tries to take the treasure, only to be crushed by falling debris, and Goku makes it to the sub just as Blooma's self-preservation instinct kicks in and she's about to leave without him. It's a good thing she doesn't, though, as a well-timed Kamehameha propulsion is the only thing that keeps them from being crushed in the cave-in. However, we see that Blue has survived. Back on land, Goku realizes this isn't his grandfather's ball either, and Kuririn laments the loss of the treasure only for Blooma to pull a large gemstone out of her panties. How about that? Being rich, she offers it to Kuririn in exchange for the loss of their craft, and we get that infamous moment that adds to the debate of whether or not Kuririn can actually smell. But I've already given my opinions on that subject, so in reference to this scene, how about that? And I think I've had to use the word panties more in this one video than I even had to in the first arc, and in that arc, panties were a more well-developed character than Puar. They return to Kame House in a stolen Red Ribbon plane and discuss their plans for their riches, only for Lunch, still in her evil form, to steal it at gunpoint, a turn of events that surprises only Blooma because she's never met Lunch before. At that moment, Blue uses his telekinesis to tie everyone else up with ropes. And I would like to mention how similar this is to a later point where Piccolo is hiding behind Kame House, made all the funnier by the fact that in the TV series, they're both played by the same actor. Blue retrieves the Dragon Balls and leaves a bomb behind as a gift. Fortunately, Lunch gets one more moment to do something important, and she arrives back at the house, confused and in her good form, just in time to untie Goku so he can throw the bomb to a safe distance, although I did enjoy her initial plan of throwing the bomb in the trash can. Without a moment's hesitation, Goku hops on Quinton to give chase. And then things get really weird. Panties, 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 panties.